Hi everybody, hope you're well. A very quick video on the latest global mean temperature anomaly for 2022 using all available data to date. I wanted to make this video now because July's monthly data have been added to all the major data sets, and if you recall, for Europe anyway, July was very, very hot, so it's interesting to see how that might have affected the global mean temperature anomaly. Don't forget 1.5 degrees centigrade is the UN target as an upper limit for global warming to avoid major dangerous effects of climate change. So that's just on the horizon. We're very close. In fact, I did a post in May where the year to date was about 1.2 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial conditions. So that's the benchmark by which we measure the current anomalies. So let's go on with it. I've done this plot here. This is using HAD-CRU T5, which is a major de facto global temperature data set, and it's produced jointly by the UK Met Office and also the UEA's Climatic Research Unit. It's one of the, if not the main global temperature records by which you can detect and attribute and monitor global heating. So here it is. I've plotted it from 1850 to 2022, which is his last point here, and we'll get into the numbers. So what I've done is this data comes, and the anomalies in its raw format are benchmarked to 1961 to 1990. So that means that a value of plus 1 degree centigrade is relative to that period. What I've done is I've re-benchmarked the data set here for using 1850 to 1900 as the benchmark period. So a value of plus 1 degree centigrade means it's 1 degree centigrade warmer than this period here. And the reason I've done that is because this period here is before carbon forcing, and it's the pre-industrial period that this 1.5 degrees upper limit threshold is based on by the UN IPCC. So that's why I've done that, and that's why I've put this box around these values here. So if you were to average these values here between these two periods, you'd get a value of 0. So as you can see, moving through time, we get warmer and warmer and warmer. As I say, the 2022 value in May was hovering at about 1.2 degrees centigrade above this pre-industrial benchmark. If you add on July's number and June's number into the data set, we're at about 1.17 degrees centigrade. So it's actually come down a little bit. It's still, in climatological terms, much warmer than the pre-industrial period, but if you had lived through the European summer, you might have expected the global mean temperature to be higher than it is. But other parts of the globe obviously weren't as hot. Some parts, in fact, had a weak cold anomaly, and these things act to counterbalance the global mean. So it's still warmer than the pre-industrial period, but it's sitting at about 1.17. And in fact, July, the global mean temperature anomaly was about plus 1.03. For 2022 relative to the July from the pre-industrial period. For the year of 2022, actually looking at the numbers, the warmest month compared to the pre-industrial period was March for the globe as an average. So here we go. We have 2022 as it stands here, this last data point here, currently warmer than last year, but not as warm as 2020, that's this point here, and 2016 here. So those 2 years are standing out in the last kind of 10 years as the warmest ones. 2020 certainly of note. Actually, what I've done is I've put the y-axis cap here at 1.5, so you can see how close we are to the 1.5 degree target. This is also useful as we're running up back into a COP. If you remember last year, COP26 in Glasgow, in November, starting early November, we've got COP27 at Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. And looking at some of the session schedules for that meeting, there's going to be a number of interesting things that's going to be covered at that meeting, one of which is the Green Climate Fund, which you may hear a lot of diplomacy being done around this. The Green Climate Fund is a UN fund of contributory money whereby poorer or majorly at-risk nations can apply to address immediate climate change threats. So a good example here is low-lying nations that are at the front line of sea level rise. A good example of one country at risk is Fiji, which is topographically speaking, is a low altitude country. It's an island state, very susceptible to small changes in sea level rise, which is actually accelerating anyway. So these countries can bid into the Green Climate Fund for emergency measures to mitigate carbon emissions, but also to adapt very quickly to immediate threats. The Green Climate Fund has got a target of $100 billion per year. They're some way, well, in fact, they're hugely off target at the moment. And of course, the pressure is on for contributory countries because they've got their own domestic problems due to issues that you all know about. So it's going to be a very interesting focus of diplomacy, I think, for COP27. So keep your eyes peeled on the press if you're interested in that in the run-up to COP27. So that's all for now. I wanted to do a quick video on the global mean temperature anomaly now that the July's numbers are in there. So I'll put this plot online so you can take a quicker, more in-depth look at it as well. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope you're well and speak soon. Bye.